22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
And are not afraid to say it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're tuned into Black Westchester presents the People Before Politics radio show. Episode 380. So, we got a good show today, but before we go, I wanted to address a few things. I wanted to share yesterday. Shout out to everybody who went to the two events that were going on yesterday. Mount Vernon City Fest and the 50th anniversary hip hop celebration at Lincoln Park in New Rochelle. I was at the Lincoln Park event in New Rochelle. We had a lot of great performers come out. Mr. Cheeks tore it up. Did one of my personal favorite joints, Renee. You can go to I got some video clips on our Instagram page at Black Westchester. You can see a couple of the clips. CL came out. He rocked. Did his verse from Down with the King. Did a couple other joints. Got some local artists that came out. It was like tribute paid to a young man who had just recently lost his life. Boogie Nation. It was really up and coming cat. Then you had who else was there? Of course, everybody's waiting for Brand Nubians. All three members, the Brand Nubian crew, came out, and it was a beautiful thing to see Puba, Sadat, and Lord Jamal all on stage together, doing all the classics. New Rochelle loved it. Smith and Wesson was in the house. They performed. They performed late towards the end. Who else? There was. I know I'm leaving somebody out. There was a couple of other people. Capella Gray showed up. He performed. And just shout out to everybody who was there. Shout out to Sis Sugar Plums, LaShawn, and shout out to Nate for putting this whole thing together. It was incredible. You had DJ Jazzy Joyce on the Wheels of Steel. You had Scram Jones. You had Pro C. You had several artists on. It was a beautiful thing. So I just wanted to shout all that out. And before we get to the show, I for some reason, on and on, I have to do this. Good evening to you, Craig McFarland. I just want to address the audience real quick. So, we have this tag that people gave us, kind of like the voice of the people. And we've helped a lot of people in situations where they had nowhere else to go. but every now and then, a lot of people call me all day long, every day, and everyone who calls, their issue is important to them. But I have a priority of issues that I have to handle in previous stories. And sometimes I don't get to all the stories, and sometimes I get to them late. Tasha Young is in the weight room. She called me about 3-4 months about the Greenberg Housing Authority before I actually got involved because I was just so busy. I mean, I'm just one person. So anyway, I wake up this morning to someone who was a disgruntled individual who decided to call me all kinds of names, to call me outside of my name, to tell me that we're supposed to be the voice of the people. But because I didn't get to his story, he's going to expose us. And he had all this really nasty stuff to say. Now, while we try to help everybody, I don't owe anybody anything to cover any story. I cover as many as I can. I think we have a great track record for helping as many people as we can. And I think over 9 years, we've done some really great work. I have the receipts for that. You know what I'm saying? But for every story I do, unfortunately, there are 20 stories that I can't get to. This is a very big county. There is stuff going on all over the county. So this individual was very upset, and we didn't get to him. And he was coming on the last couple of weeks, kept going in the chat talking about when you're going to put me on, when you're going to put me on, when you're going to put me on. So, to shut him up, Damon was like, yo, just give him a date. We were going to put him on next week. And he showed his behind over the last 24 hours. And he will not be on. And I won't even be mentioning his name right now until he gives me a reason to. But I just want to say, we try to cover all that we can. And there will be times when we don't. And it's not because we don't feel that your issue is not important. It's not because we're ignoring you. There are a lot of times we are really, really busy. We don't have the manpower of, like, say, a Low HUD or a News 12. I mean, I do have people that volunteer and help out, but this is basically a one-man show. You know what I'm saying? So there's so much that I can do and be effective. Because we get involved in something, we try to see it all the way through. We try to be effective. I don't want to just touch it. You know what I'm saying? We try to be very effective, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of research, and a lot of energy. So I just wanted to put that out there. Unfortunately, this individual feels that way, and he won't be the first, and he won't be the last. But calling me out is not a way to get your issue heard. Calling me out, saying all kinds of crazy stuff like, hey, the dude texted me and said, if he would have got killed by the police, we would have raised a whole lot of money to talking about brutality. We cover these cases. I don't get paid for this. Like, we cover people's situations. I personally got insulted by that particular thing. But if you got an issue, there are other avenues. I can't cover everything, and I don't apologize for that. And I just wanted to address that. I'm not going to get too much into that because I feel like we will be having a much further conversation because this person wants to continue to push the button. So we will continue to get more into that. But I will introduce my co-host for the day, Dr. Bob, Robert Baskerville, aka Dr. Bob. Damn, I forgot that other nickname that we have for you, and I said I was going to use.
Was that Biff Baskerville, AJ?
No.
Man,
it was something. It was something new. It was something new, and I forgot it. I was like, wait till Bob comes on. I'm definitely going to use that one. But I forgot. But it's my man Bob. Bob has been working with his organization, his non-for-profit Rise Up, has been working on solar for all, and we're going to be talking about that. And Bob's pretty much going to head the show. He's going to introduce the guests, and pretty much they're going to be talking about the importance of solar and the importance for our community to get on board with solar. and take advantage of the opportunities and the importance of solar. So, without further ado, welcome to the show, my brother, Dr. Bob.
So AJ, as always, good brother, it's a pleasure to be with you. I want everyone to note that my continuing relationship with Black Westchester Magazine, AJ Woodson, and Damon Jones is a testament to my personal belief in both the importance of the work that they do and the integrity with which they try to do it under difficult circumstances. I want to take this opportunity. AJ is a good friend of mine. Here I just take a guess, y'all, with the exception of maybe Damon and one or two other good friends. AJ and I talk a lot about Black Westchester editorial policies, the stories he's trying to cover. He often runs it past me, give him a sounding board and offer my view. And everyone, all I can say is I have tremendous empathy for AJ because I know as his friend the immense kind of politics that he has often been thrust in his lap because of his role as the editor-in-chief of Black Westchester and the host of People Before Politics. It's a difficult job, brother. You approach it with integrity. I know because like you, like me, you work in the field in a field which is almost thankless. I have to say that too, yo. I want to say this to the audience. Yo, this shit is almost thankless. It is only AJ's personal conviction and dedication to the good work of journalism that this show persists, because it does not make the kind of money that a grown man would aspire to. AJ he's like every other American. He wants a good life. And believe me, he makes a lot of sacrifices to make this show possible. I don't know how anyone, and I hear this all the time. Let me say this, because I'm going to speak frankly. Y'all motherfuckers need to get this out your goddamn mouths. Stop saying Black Westchester's bought and paid for. You have no idea what you're talking about. And moreover, you are not paying for Black Westchester. Because every person who opens their mouth in such a manner has not put a dime into Black Westchester. And they'd be lucky if you put any time into it. You really need to wake up. Because if I was AJ, I'd just like, let's listen, we're going to leave Black folks to themselves. If this is what we get for the hard work that we do, nothing but disrespect, contempt, disdain, far too often, and not enough support, y'all are lucky. This is a man of exceptional character. And on that note, AJ, I guess I'll leave it alone because I am worked up for you, what you go through personally and what that means for us as a community. There is no other Black Westchester. Media is vital. Everyone else seems to know it except for us. On that note, y'all, I'm going to shut up because, we ain't here for that.
Well, thank you, my brother. Definitely well received. I definitely appreciate it. I forgot what song it is, but it's a chorus, and I think Common sampled it. Mm. And the chorus, all I know is the last line is, "One day you're gonna look around and we're gonna be gone, and you're gonna be wondering what the hell happened and why. But one day y'all gonna look up and we're gonna be gone."
And we're gonna be crying, "Oh my God! Oh, no one supports us. They don't want to do anything for us." No, we don't want to do nothing for ourselves. There is such a thing as appropriate behavior for an audience. I cannot tell you how disappointed the number of times I walk around the city of Mount Vernon and people make all kind of accusations that are totally baseless. And I say these folks have no idea, not a clue what they are talking about. But in any event, AJ, like you said, man, with this gone, and we need a platform to highlight our issues. Don't go and look for Low HUD or all those other papers. that everyone always complains about because they do nothing but negative coverage. And Black Westchester People Before Politics tries to strike a balance between important stories in which some people's reputations may be tarnished and important stories that uplift us for the good work that we do. Both aspects of Black life need to be discussed. And so I hope that the audience grows and matures in this respect, because a lot of people leave me wondering what y'all think a newspaper is supposed to do. In any event, AJ.
Well, we're going to move on. And I just want to say one of the reasons for Dr. Bob's passion, Dr. Bob is the one that I have no idea that stops me from just outright just saying F a whole lot of people and cursing people out. Bob's like, nah, you can't say it like that. You can't say it like, including the text that went out to this individual. He has no idea what was my intentional text that I was going to send. And Bob kind of talks me off the ledge a little bit. And so we can keep this thing going. So without further ado, your guests are here. Two of your guests are here. You can introduce them and y'all can take it away.
So welcome, everyone. I'm glad to be on the show again. I'm AJ today to talk about the important topic of the environmental crisis that we face and new options that we have to begin to try to address it, and to take up this challenge. I've been working recently in the city of Yonkers, where I actually currently reside. I've lived for the past 10 years on the Yonkers Solar All for All initiative. I'm not exactly sure who is in the guest room. I'm going to assume we have a pretty big alliance here in the city of Yonkers, which we are always looking to expand to other sister cities.
Well, let me help you out. You have the lovely Tasha Young, and you have Mr. McCoy.
So I have my good friend and counterpart in Rise Up, Harold McCoy, who serves as the VP of Strategic Planning and Partnerships. Many of y'all from the city of Yonkers will recognize Harold, but for those of you who are not from the city, this may be your first time meeting Harold. Harold but there's something we need to work out, because I'm feeling funny as I could repeatedly call him Harold. which is his name, but he knows I know him as my brother as Infinite.
I almost introduced him like that too.
Yeah, so we want to be respectful of Brother McCoy in his official capacity, but we're accustomed to calling him Infinite. Our second member, who is also a vital part of the Yonkers Solar for All Coalition, is no stranger to the show, Ms. Tasha Young, who has been a steady presence in a number of political formations here in the county and has worked on a number of campaigns. And so we may be joined later on by others.
You have another one, Teresa?
Oh, we do. Oh, okay. Yes. And then we also have Teresa Douglas, who I recently have had the pleasure of working with. Thanks to Harold's introduction, Teresa serves as the Chief Operations Officer for Rise Up. We've not the first time we've heard about Rise Up. We've mentioned it before. It's a small grassroots organization that seeks to provide strategic information and analysis to help communities of color undertake important initiatives that are going to lead to lasting solutions to the problems we confront. Even though we are a small organization, we have big ambitions as big as the problems that we face. And so it's a pleasure to have the three of them and perhaps some others who may come on later on.
So I'm getting off the screen and let you take away. I'm in the background. If you need me, I will be there. But
AJ, don't do that, brother.
Yes, I'm going in the background and letting you, and I will run things from the background so the screen is bigger. No need for my face to be on the screen.
Okay. So.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening as well. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
All
I'd like
right.
to thank AJ and Dr. Bob for allowing Rise Up to have this platform. We have a lot to talk about, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And this public forum is an excellent opportunity for us to share our efforts, our intentions, and our goals in terms of the Solar for All initiative.
Yeah, so perhaps the best place to start is to just share with our audience what the Solar for All initiative is and how a coalition of organizers in Yonkers and beyond initially became aware of it and what kind of action we've been taking. And I don't know when you guys want to go ahead and talk to that. Anyone can feel free. Well, I could always talk, so.
I'll speak a little. This act stems from the Biden-Harris administration. They're wanting to focus on providing clean air in general. That's been a focus for some time. But recently, in June, they announced that they were having the Solar for All competition sponsored by the Environmental Protection Agency. And this is a $7 billion fundraising event. And they're giving, I think it's 400 million to this effort. And it's a competition. So they're going to sponsor up to 60 groups, whether they be states, municipalities, even tribal groups, and other small municipalities, and they're willing to sponsor them to try to do a dual effort. They'd like to clean the environment through solar energy, but they'd also like to revitalize the community by providing jobs, training, education, entrepreneurship for men and small businesses, Black-owned businesses. And they want to basically target disadvantaged communities. And that's why we have come on board because, again, we are, as you said, we are looking to help minorities, people in disadvantaged situations. And we also are interested in having a better environment as well. So that's just a little background from my standpoint, but someone else can jump in.
Josh, you want to add something?
Hi, good night, everybody. It's good to see you guys. I heard infinite peace to the God.
Yes, peace to the God.
So, yes, peace, my brother. So I'm really excited about this opportunity for a couple of reasons. And thank you, Teresa, for really, setting the groundwork around where this all came from. The congressman joined us yesterday when we had our first community outreach forum, and he talked about the vote for Build Back Better. And he talked about why he didn't vote for it and how he was able to get legislation like this and historic funding like this through the Inflation Reduction Act. So that's where this funding is coming from. It's coming from the Inflation Reduction Act. And then for everything environmental or infrastructure wise, there is like kind of an earmarking called the Justice 40. And at the federal level, 40% of funding for infrastructure, for environmental, clean energy programs has to be allocated to disadvantaged communities. So this is when you really feel the representation matters in policy, because you have lawmakers that are at the table really trying to create equity through the law and through the funding structure. So 40%, 35 to 40% will go to disadvantaged communities. And then at the state level, they layered it. So at the state level, there's also a Justice 40 initiative with 35% to 40% of the funding for infrastructure, for infrastructure and environmental renewal for energy initiatives will go to disadvantaged communities. So this is unprecedented. This is kind of similar to when we had the New Deal, and it went to certain segments of the population, and they were not Black. They were not BIPOC. It was highly restricted for Black, BIPOC, and other marginalized groups. So this legislation writes us in. So I really wanted to really pinpoint that. And then there are maps that were made that indicate where the disadvantaged communities are. So anyone can pick up from there of why we're doing it, where we're doing it. But it's really important to highlight that the elected officials we sent to Washington and we send to Albany for our best interests are really delivering.
Harold, you want to add anything onto that?
Well, just the fact that we have the opportunity to create something from the ground level that we're all passionate about. We're all very interested in seeing to it that a segment of the population that has been at a disadvantage, disenfranchised, segregated against, etc. We have the opportunity, us, right here on this line, we have the opportunity to make history, to have an impact on our immediate society, our immediate surroundings, our local area. We are going to be responsible for ushering in a new infrastructure when it comes to energy, solar power, when it comes to vocational opportunity, education, minority business owners. We're going to be the ones that will be ushering this in. We have a strong coalition of community board organizations, as well as the municipality of Yonkers being the lead grant writer, and
Teamsters.
the Teamsters.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yes, Teamsters. Sustainable Westchester, which is major, and we do need other organizations, grassroots organizations that have direct ties to the community, because that's how this is going to work. We could very well, the four of us, we can very well go to every single barbershop and go knock on every single door and go standing at every church, but we shouldn't have to do that. We should have an alliance and an allegiance of a coalition of the churches. We should have organizations like the NAACP joining us, because it's going to be very important to have them, that organization, as well as others, to be a part. Not to leave out, our Latino brothers and sisters who live next door in the disadvantaged communities, live in 6J, or other communities that are at a disadvantage when it comes to the benefits of this new energy system that we're looking to usher in.
So I want to take the opportunity, everyone, to piggyback on Tasha's remarks and try to provide the context for our audience to better understand what the Solar for All program is, by comparing it both to previous periods of turbulence and economic disruption that occurred in American life, and the role that the federal government has played in crafting new policies that are designed to address those, especially problems that tend to concentrate heavily in the Black and Brown communities because of our historic exclusion from the mainstream of American life. As Tasha noted, in previous eras of economic duress, the Great Depression, and subsequently, we'll say the late 60s during the Johnson administration, there was an uncharacteristic effort on the part of the federal government of the United States, represented by the Office of the Presidency, to begin to address some of those problems.
Right.
In the 1930s, as Tasha pointed out, it was through FDR's innovative New Deal programs that created a number of different agencies. Sole purpose was to use the purchasing power of the federal government to inject money into the economy and create a demand for new jobs that would address the unemployment crisis
Right.
that was mounting within Black communities and brown communities, and from which the social problems that we face are inseparable.
Right.
You know, listen, go do a research on Dr. Bob's background, and you will have all the answers to what I'm talking about here. I'll just leave it at that. Y'all know what I'm talking about, even though I'm fortunate, blessed to be a professor, and people might think, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. Listen, I was out there with everybody else, so many brothers hustling on the streets in the early 80s, late 80s, 90s, partly because of my own, flawed thinking, but partly because there are not enough jobs in our community, period, point blank. And so just as the New Deal administration, through things like the conservation, civilian conservation program, the WPA, the Writers Project Agency, several others that I can't recall without going back and refreshing my notes, start to inject money so that Black and brown communities could recover through gainful employment.
Right.
So too has the Biden administration, in response probably to the upsurge of outrage that followed in the wake of George Floyd killing, passed historic legislation, including two very important executive orders that help to set this framework, the stage for the efforts that we now see going on today. And Harold has been in audiences, Infinite and I were in an audience where I made reference to these two executive orders and compared them to historic executive orders that previous presidents have passed that signaled a turning point in race relations in the United States and led to a significant improvement in the quality of Black life. I'm talking about FDR's executive order that desegregated the military, that were followed up by executive orders from his vice president, then President Truman, Dwight Eisenhower, and then other important executive orders under the Johnson.
Right.
The President Biden issued two similarly important executive orders that essentially, as Tasha said, listen, from now on, when we allocate money, we're going to make sure that we have equitable distribution of that money,
Right.
and we're going to mandate that 40% of that money go to Black communities, brown communities. That is unheard of. Yo, if y'all want to know why these Republicans are going bananas,
Right.
that's why.
That's why.
You look at that, you'll be like, hold on. Black and brown communities must get 40%. It's in black and white and writing. They don't want to see that. Previously, when you have social service programs designed for Black people, brown people, what did they do? They gave it to the county, state government, so they had control. This program's not written like that. This program says, if you want some money, you better go have some Black and
You
brown
have
people
to.
with you. They cannot get no money without us.
Right.
It's a competitive grant. If you don't have Black and brown people genuinely a part of your coalition and even maybe leading it, taking the initiative, you're not going to get money. So I want to stress that, because the window of opportunity to seize on these chances is very narrow. As we were saying in the conference yesterday, it's only about 90 days from the moment it's announced to the time an application is due. And Black and brown communities have to be already prepared.
Right.
Everything must be in place. Tosh knows, we all know, because we're here doing it. It's an immense effort to try to organize a coalition of municipal governments, labor unions, community-based organizations, MWBEs that are practicing in the field, utilities, just to name a few. You can't do that. And write a grant in 90 days. Like 40. The grant is a total of 40 pages, y'all.
It's a thesis.
Yes, it's a thesis. So I wanted to place it in this broader framework because I think it's very important. We cannot overstate just how historic this effort is. And I want to get the message to all my brothers and sisters that tune into Black Westchester and ask y'all to share the word with others. Now, this application is due October 14th. Pretty much if you haven't got yourself lined up yet, probably can't this one. But there are others that are coming down. There are two even more generous programs that the Biden-Harris administration passes, like some sort of innovative climate energy incubator, and I think that's about $13 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another one to create some sort of financial institutions that will essentially mobilize venture capital, private capital, and public capital to fund a lot of this work. And we've got to be there, y'all. We've got to be there. Harold and I, and then Tasha and Teresa have all been, when we got to where we tried to tell people, even people in our circles. And I got to tell y'all, all too often, you know, they were slow-footed. And as this phrase goes, you might be $1 late and a day late and $1 short. We've got to be timely, y'all. This is not, so, you know, I'll start by saying that, and I don't know.
And I just want to add, just again, speaking to the community-based organizations that are out there that already exist, the churches and the community centers, all the institutions that are already helping the people in our community. We really need your support because, again, we're going to target the people that, you know, who are slipping through the cracks, you know, those 30-year-olds, people like that. We're going to add them to this pool of people who can be trained and given valuable job opportunities, learn a skill or trade, and then help provide solar energy to your community also, which will allow them to get better rates with their, you know, with their utilities company. So it's just, there's so many good things that come out of this effort, but we do need to recruit people. We want to make sure we're serving our community. You know, we're going to work with high school students who are about to graduate, but we still want to make sure we, again, reach those people in their 30s, maybe in 40s, who have not found that, you know, that place in society yet, but are very capable and confident and just need support. So we do need your help. So I want to just stress to the NAACP, the YWCA, YMCA, all the other organizations that are out there. We need your help, and we hope that you're going to get on board and work with us because we are the community. We are the ones who are impacted by this grant the most. So please join us in our efforts. So thank you.
So what the grant is, and I'm just going to go over the partners again, just to make sure. We said that it's Rise Up is the lead agency that's really putting a lot of this together in partnership with the City of Yonkers Sustainability Department. Is that the correct name?
Yes, the Mayor's Office of
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor's Office of Sustainability. And then we have science partners in the PACE Energy Law Center and Sustainable Westchester. And then we have partners that are on the ground in Yonkers in the BZAC Environmental Center, as well as Groundwork. And my agency, the Good Policy Institute. And I feel like I'm forgetting someone else. Is it Carmen? What's the lady's name?
Oh,
There's
I know what you mean. But she's
there's
a
Art Fire. There's Art Fire with Renee
right.
Coleman.
Yes.
Art
Well,
Fire.
And
what we're doing,
just to show some of the logos.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. And what we're doing is applying for a grant. It's about a $30 million grant. And 75% of that grant goes in direct cash subsidies for equipment, energy audits for people to go solar. And then that other 25% is where we get to do workforce development, economic development, and we're looking to target Southwest Yonkers, which is designated by the state as a disadvantaged community. So when this law was originally presented, I thought we were going to be able to get other communities that are disadvantaged because of things like redlining. And it looks like that didn't really make it in. But there are other factors like health outcomes and things like that that make a community disadvantaged. And as Dr. Bob said earlier, that's where we find a lot of people of color, a lot of people with disabilities and the like.
So I just want to quickly piggyback on what you said, because I know you wanted us to share our map, I believe, Tasha. Just so everyone has a clearer sense of where exactly these disadvantaged communities are located. So a disadvantaged community is a recent designation that federal and state governments adopted in response to the immense pressure put on by environmental activists and social justice equity activists to try to ensure that more money was being directed to our communities. And so in response to these pressures, federal and state governments develop essentially criteria for identifying what a disadvantaged community is. And this is the map of the disadvantaged communities in the city of Yonkers. As we take a look at it, I will interrupt myself to introduce to our audience and say hello to another member of our coalition, Deborah Williams. I had the pleasure of meeting Deborah, and we'll get everything right today. Rather recently as part of the work we've been doing in the coalition, and it's been such a pleasure. So welcome to the show, Deborah. And your mic is muted, Deb.
I just unmuted myself. Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Hi, Deb.
Welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. You guys are doing an amazing job. The show is going really well. And you guys are giving out great information. And I'm just hoping and can't wait until everyone just comes aboard and just see how well this project will do for our community. So I'm just looking forward and so happy about our journey on the solar mission, our solar mission. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I guess the audience members could see here, as Tasha said, can everyone see the map? Yeah. Oh, okay.
No, yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. That must be AJ somewhere in the background. He's ever present. And so you can see here, everyone, the area in red highlights the disadvantaged communities in the city of Yonkers. Please note that they cluster. For anyone who's familiar with Yonkers, you're not surprised by what you see. They are clustered very heavily in the southwest corridor of Yonkers around the downtown area that leads into the Bronx, along the Riverway into the Bronx. There are other areas as well. Harold, Teresa know the city of Yonkers better than I, and so they know where these other areas are. The important thing is that these disadvantaged communities are plagued by a number of problems that the new Biden-Harris approach to social equity is designed to begin to address. Some of those problems are very obvious. We're here on the Solar for All mission. And so one thing is that these neighborhoods rely very heavily on expensive, pollution-producing, carbon-based fuel, carbon-based energy systems, oil and gas. But those are not the only problems that they have. And I'm curious, amongst my panel members, would y'all care, anyone know of any other kinds of problems that tend to cluster heavily in these areas that we anticipate being able to address through the Solar for All program? And
Do you just mean socially, like economically? I mean, unemployment, like you said, lack of opportunity, lack of support systems, transportation, things like that. Not having adequate childcare, just an array of things that would hinder individuals from, seeking employment, gainful employment.
Right, a whole host of problems. Teresa, I'll add, I was looking at the statistics the other night, trying to bone up for yesterday's presentation. And based on the statistics that were gathered by the office that compiles this map, because it's a special office, it's their CSJT tool, something like that, right, Tasha? So something like that, a special tool. The average, you never guess what the average unemployment rate is in these areas. No one will ever guess. Take a wild guess and double it. What's your wild guess, brother? Yo,
26%.
Infinite, what's your wild guess on the unemployment rate? Take your wild guess and double it. Yes. We couldn't hear you.
I think you might have froze, maybe.
You're muted, Margie.
No, so you're referring to that, just no demographics, just what the unemployment rate is in Yonkers.
In the disadvantaged
In that area.
The disadvantage.
Unemployment rate. I would go as far as to say, I would think majority.
70%, something like that.
So, you know what?
I'm gonna say 120%.
Listen, those
It's hard to
numbers,
gauge that because everybody doesn't report unemployment neither, so you
Right,
can't.
right.
And I, just quoting you on that, Dr. Bob, it's hard to gauge that exact number because you have those who go in there and every week they get an unemployment check, so you can count them. But then there's those who are not getting, and there's a big chunk of people who don't get an unemployment check. So how do you count them?
right? All kind of questions is how you count them. But I do want to point out that the numbers that y'all cite, to say that a majority of people in a neighborhood
Right.
are unemployed, you say that's over 50%.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
And you want me to tell what? That is in fact correct.
oh,
According to the statistics that I looked at yesterday, the unemployment rate in these areas, average unemployment rate in those areas is 59%. Some areas are higher.
So
Deborah,
that's saying is that 70% of people
That's what I said.
on West Side, West Yonkers don't have a job.
the official what is the official
Almost 60.
unemployment rate is
70%.
yeah. I'm just looking up the national employment rate, which is 3.8% in this economy.
Wow.
So that's, and I didn't look up the state, but that's one of the reasons, that's one of the qualifiers, Dr. Bob, for a disadvantaged community.
Unemployment rate.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, absolutely, everyone. Actually, I'm going to share this a little bit because.
And this is the economy where unemployment is relatively low.
Yeah, right.
Right. That's an irony.
Mm-hmm.
This is the actual, I just threw these in a little pivot table. You download them from these agencies and then you just, upload it into, I didn't, make it look as neat as I want. But these are the individual census tracts, everyone. Those are the, the number of people. And these are the important.
Can you make that bigger, Dr. Bob?
Yes, I'm sorry.
For the visually impaired.
Yes. I know we have a lot of visually impaired people, like me.
At least 5 of them.
Present. Okay, that's good. That's
now
good.
Look, this is like a census tract. So it's a very small unit. That's that little, like the little squares you see there. But look at those unemployment numbers. Yeah, I didn't make this. I want y'all to know I didn't even calculate this. I'm just.
Oh, okay. The gray area. Yeah.
Yeah. As you go from census tract to census tract, you have masses of people who are unemployed. Now, of course, people earn a living some way.
And they're renters.
You have a lot of renters, absolutely. A lot of reliance on, Yeah, homeowners, all the problems that come with being renters. And so it is hard to overstate the kind of problems, social problems, that have concentrated in disadvantaged communities in the United States. And we're not even talking about health-related ailments that are the focus of concern of some members of our coalition. Some of them are actually on Facebook, I believe. Now I know Marcia Cooper. I just saw a comment from her. Marcia is one of the coalition members from BZAC.
BZAC Center, yes.
Oh, okay.
Environmental
Hi,
Education
Marcia.
Center. Marcia, Bob Walters and Dr. Bob Morrow are also over there. And so Marcia's comment alludes to another problem that is concentrated heavily in disadvantaged communities, and that is environmental hazards of all kinds. One of the line of analysis is done. What kind of quality of air do you have? And the quality of air in these communities is also rather low. So those are the types of things that the Solar for All program is seeking to address, not just environmental problems we face as a community, as a planet, because we're spewing too much carbon in the atmosphere, but in addition, related social problems. And so I just wanted to point that out. It's a lot of potential.
Marcia had brought up the sewage treatment plant. And, there is an opportunity through this funding to put the solar equipment and savings into a community property. So where it benefits everybody, because there's a strong focus on home ownership. So, we'll do the audit and the analysis and see how many homeowners we can capture in that community. But since it's a high rental community, we also have the opportunity to look at community facilities, a sewage treatment plant, a senior home, a youth center, schools, maybe anything that where the whole community could benefit from it is also something we could look at to receive these benefits.
Right. I want to just quickly show everyone exactly what the main components of the program are. What is the Solar for All program? What kind of new solar projects is the Solar for All program looking to fund? And I have a list. I don't know if y'all can see it very quickly. It shows you the main components of the Solar for All program. I'll try to make it a bit bigger because I know that impaired. So there's three basic kinds of projects that the Solar for All program is going to fund. What we understand is the traditional, what comes to mind when we think of solar for all, which is residential rooftop solar. A person has solar panels installed in their roofs. For a variety of reasons, this is not always a viable option for people. Some people live in individual homes where they don't get sufficient access to sunlight. Maybe they have some sort of blockage. Maybe they fall within the shadow of a large skyscraper or something. And so a rooftop solar may not be a viable alternative for them. I do want to note that some people will say rooftop solar is not a viable alternative for me because my home is in such a state of disrepair that there are things that need to be done prior to strengthen my home, strengthen the electrical system before I could even make use of it. It's what we would call upgrades. And I do want to point out that this program does in trying to ensure disadvantaged communities have access to solar energy. It has included a component that will finance upgrades for rooftop solar, for your electrical system, and a couple of other related structural improvements that you need for Solar for All. So I want everyone to know that even though it may, the prospect of installing a solar system in your home may appear to be daunting, may think you don't have the money, this program is quite generous and it is looking to provide additional assistance so you could get your home in place. But even if you're able to do that, everyone, there are just going to be instances where it would be impossible to install an individual rooftop solar. And if that's the case, and maybe because they are large apartment buildings where that's a little more difficult, a second option is residential serving community solar. Essentially, everyone is like a little, almost micro solar plant for a small number of households, let's say 100 to 200 households. They pool their money together, buy, lease a property, and install a solar unit there that then provides low-cost solar energy to that particular, to the, to that group. Now, I do want to note that in the past, one of the hindrances to taking advantage of programs like this is that even when they offer tax write-offs, they're only available for for-profit corporations. You could only take a tax write-off if you make a profit. Nonprofits in the past were not eligible to take advantage of such programs. Today, however, policymakers responding to concerns, criticisms, community activists, others have made, decided to modify the program so that nonprofits and other groups can actually also take advantage of this and are eligible for significant tax write-offs. So our audience knows, if you employ union labor to do installation on one of any of these projects, you qualify for an additional 35% tax break that you could write off. Or if you are a nonprofit and you don't have any tax bill, you will qualify for essentially some sort of abatement. It's almost a payment of some kind, that the government gives you to offset those costs. I'll just leave it at that. We can't hear you, Tasha.
That is also really, really good policy, and it has a precedent. Every administration is not supportive of union labor. So when you get an administration that supports union labor, you'll see policies like this, which incentivize people to work with unions. I think it's great. Some administrations bust up unions.
Right. And as a matter of fact, the story of how we actually got to the unions is an interesting one that I think I'd like Harold to say a word or two about, because it does illustrate the strategy that we've undertaken to try to build coalitions. And maybe, Harold, can you just tell the audience how we started to develop this relationship with the unions?
Well, I began this I always begin this by saying everything in the universe starts as a thought first. And Dr. Bob and I have discussed many of idea, many of plans. We've worked on a few other projects prior to this, and it was just the idea that we decided that we wanted to take the initiative on. We had a breakfast for my father's birthday, and he had invited some gentlemen over for the purpose of networking. And there's a gentleman by the name of Brian Carter. He's from Yonkers, and Brian is a retired Teamster Local 456 member. And Brian has worked almost 36 years, if I'm not mistaken, for the city of Yonkers. And his efforts in trying to bring opportunity to the communities, to the disadvantaged communities, to the low-income communities, to the Black and brown communities. And Brian has worked tirelessly to bring these opportunities. So at this meeting that we had for my father's birthday, Brian and Dr. Bob had a very good conversation. And after that conversation, they both wanted to speak to each other. More importantly, Brian wanted to introduce the president of the union to Dr. Bob.
Is it Harold? I'm sorry. I think everyone could see a picture. You should be able to see a picture. Can you see the picture on screen with?
Not yet.
No, I just see me. Actually, I don't see anyone else.
AJ need to give us the controls.
Okay. Let me see everyone else.
Okay. There's actually. Thank you, AJ.
Oh, okay.
Yes. What you're looking at is a picture of Dr. Bob.
Nice pic.
From left to right, Dr. Bob, Bill Seratori from the office of the Mayor's Office of Sustainability, Teresa Douglas, our very own. And to the far right is the gentleman I'm speaking of, Brian Carter. If it wasn't for Brian Carter making that intro, we'd probably, I wouldn't say we wouldn't be where we're at, but we'd be a few steps behind.
Certainly.
And, that meet with the union just paid off. They understood right away. We had no difficulties. It was not a sale, not a hard sale, whatsoever. Excuse me. This information is common information. It's not like, we created this. This is common information. Those in the industry are aware. The Teamsters, Local 456, the sanitation department in the city of Yonkers, their official title is defined as environmental management workers. They are EMWs, environmental management workers. That's their title. So with that meet and Lou Capagni, Lou Picani. Excuse me. Sorry, Lou. Lou Picani, the president of the Local 456, he immediately saw the value, saw what it was worth, and saw the qualified, competent individuals in front of him presenting this to him. So he got on the line right away and began to call the other unions. And we met with them. And with that relationship, we were able to take it a lot further. That's with the unions. Then from there, we went to BZAC Center. BZAC are good friends of ours, Bob and I. We knew BZAC before we began to discuss the Solar for All project. And BZAC, again, very good friends of ours. Dr. Bob Morrow, Bob Walters, great guy, Marcia Cooper. These are all good people. And we took a meet, and from there, they brought it to the city. And everything just kind of really fell in place as if it was supposed to.
So, I'm not sure how we got on that track, Harold, but I just wanted to make sure.
Incorporating the unions, how we got the unions involved.
Yeah, and I know I'm the one who said that. So how have we got there? I got us there. But I wasn't sure if we'd actually just said what eligible.
Brian, we were talking about Brian.
Brian, yes. I'm not sure if we finished saying what eligible items can be funded through the Solar for All program. So residential rooftop, residential community solars, these solar farms, enabling upgrades, which are important. And then the last thing is associated storage. In other words, batteries for buildings, y'all. Way to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Together.
Can you speak to the enabling? What did you call it?
Enabling upgrades.
Enabling upgrades. Can you speak to that briefly?
So again, so one of the barriers to the installation and spread of solar energy across disadvantaged communities, especially, experts tell us, is that oftentimes their buildings just are not in shape. They have structural weaknesses that would only be further exacerbated were they to try to install solar systems on them. In order to get the full benefits of solar, firstly, you have to make sure that your rooftop is sufficiently sturdy to handle the extra weight. Now, unbeknownst to me, and I've heard this in conversations, it might have been you, Harold, like buildings are constructed with certain specs in mind to withstand certain pressure, and they were designed without solar in mind. So generally, some of the older
buildings, yes.
Yeah, some of the older buildings are a bit too weak to hold them. So you got to have your in order to take advantage of it, you got to have a sturdy, strong roof. But then in addition to it, you also have to have an electrical system that's capable of carrying the full load and also connecting. And we really need Leo or Craig to explain it fully, but your electrical system has to be
Yes.
And if it's not, then you also may it wouldn't really make sense for you to install any solar. And so the program was designed to take care of those kind of electrical, those kind of enabling upgrades as well. Now, I do want to point out, everyone, because this is like, it's a jobs program, as Tasha said. It's a way for us to think about it as a jobs program. So if you, and I do want to note, everyone, that there are different types of financial instruments that one could put into place to fund this. It could be loans or whatever it is. The legislation mandates that communities of color receive this money on below market rates. It's got to be below the market rate. If you get a loan, if you're offered a loan, if the market rate for consumer loans is, for electrical, solar, residential solar is 6%, we're going to get it at considerably less. I've spoken, to some, I'm just learning about this. So I've spoken to some, some of the financial institutions that do this. And they would say to me, Bob, it's not unusual for us to offer loads at like 3 or 4 percentage points below the market rate. That's what we do, and how they do it safely, but that's what they do. So, so paying for these enabling upgrades has been a major impediment to the spread of solar for all in our community, and so this, the inclusion of enabling great upgrades as one of the eligible expenditures for the Solar for All loans really does hold out the promise that everyone can afford to buy one.
Let me ask this:
Yes.
How does the Solar for All initiative affect previous solar panel programs that have existed and are still people are still currently in contract with or in relationship with? How will that work?
Teresa, do you know the answer to that question?
I'm not sure, but I'm just somewhat familiar. I know you can purchase a new system. You can also, people have leases and they can rent. I just know that buying is the best option. But in terms of a prior system, I'm thinking you could buy it out and start over, but I don't know if you really left with the residual of that old loan. I'm not sure of the technical part.
That was my way of getting someone else to give an answer that I don't know.
And that's why we have the technical expertise that is part of this committee, Sustainable Westchester and PACE. They are the two groups that we have, as well as another gentleman. I can't remember his name, Paul. I think it was Zundu. I can't say correctly, but we have several people who are providing the technical expertise and are very familiar with the current market rates, everything, and they're providing the service already. So they are very familiar with pre-existing structures and upcoming laws. They're in knowledgeable wattage. They're just very knowledgeable. I mean, it would have been nice if one of them could have been part of this discussion, because Leo spoke for us yesterday, and he did a really good job. And he's, like I said, hands down, knows just about everything inside out about the process. So we do have that person on the team, just not present with us today.
Not only that, like we have several scientists on the team, and there's a kind of like a built-in mandate to work with existing resources at the state and federal levels, and that includes, you know, engineers and people like that who might know if a system needs to be upgraded, which is included in the grant, or replaced.
Yeah, we have, I know at least 3 groups working with us currently. Sustainable Westchester, PACE, Energy Center, and I can't remember his exact title because he has not participated at every meeting, but Paul Rosendo, I think is his name. I know he just left Sustainable Westchester, but he's, you know, he's very knowledgeable from what I understand. So we have, like you said, the resources already, and we probably will recruit some more along the way. And they all serve as the, you know, the technical scientists, the people who are very knowledgeable about the, you know, solar energy in general, providing it, and, you know, the cost and the rates and things, and have relationships with the utilities company. So unfortunately, again, they are not present today.
And going back to the money of it all, so if we look at the 75-25% breakdown, you know, this what we're really talking about is a $30 million grant application that has the 75-25 breakdown, but we also can partner and raise more capital to $100 million, where it still will service the same community in the same number, but, you know, maybe a more layered approach with more funding. So what am I trying to say? At $30 million, we're looking at about 22.5 million to go in direct cash subsidies and upgrades and storage, you know, facility building and re-granting to homeowners. But that 25%, maybe about 7.5 million, is to that job creation piece, to apprenticeship programs, to businesses, because every aspect of business is engaged, even to, you know, a list of restaurants in the area that will maybe be contracted or subcontracted with a construction company to provide, you know, lunches. There's so many different opportunities. Maybe there's a uniform store. I know in Southwest Yonkers, there might be a uniform store or a hardware store, a mom and pop hardware store that can maybe get a subcontract. So there's so many different ways to really stimulate the economy through that 25%. And we'll look at 7.5 million. But if we get the 100 million, then that grows. And then there's more training opportunities and more job opportunities.
Tasha, I want to expound just a bit on what you just said so our audience is clear about the size of the program that we're talking about here. The application itself requires us, as applicant, to request a certain amount, you know, certain amount of grant money. It can be up to $400 million. As already said, we may apply for about 100 million. I'm sorry, I meant to say 25 million. But in order for this grant to be competitive, we are required to also raise private capital that's going to supplement the grant money that we received. A competitive grant may, I would imagine, you should be able to raise at least $4 for every $1 of grant money we receive. So as Tasha said, if we receive a $25 million grant, in all likelihood, we will have made arrangements with financial institutions that actually specialize in trying to get money to underserved communities. They're going to say, hey, we've got these funding mechanisms in place, so we could give you $4 for every $1 that you have. So the grant, the ultimate financial package that we're talking about, everyone, will be somewhere on the order of $100+ billion. That is going, if we receive the award, that will be available to do conversion of home energy systems in the cities of Yonkers, disadvantaged communities.
Right.
It's a large pot of money, and we just want you to know the true scope.
Exactly.
And so, yes, and so it offers all of those benefits. Now, I did also want to say, because I want people, and sometimes when we bounce around, we're having a conversation. This is what a conversation is. We may bounce around from point to point, but I want to make clear for our audience members exactly what kind of benefits the federal government would like coalitions like ourselves that are crafting these programs ultimately to achieve.
Yeah.
Through the programs. And we've alluded to it, but I want to show the audience a list, again, taken directly from the grant application itself, that summarizes what the expectations are, what kind of benefits our communities can look forward to should we receive should we be awarded the grant. Hopefully our good friend, AJ Woodson, who is in the background somewhere, knows that I'm saying his name because I want him to share the screen. Thank you, AJ. We appreciate you, brother. So literally behind the scenes. And so here, everyone, we have a list of the 5 key benefits. I'm going to enlarge it again so everyone can see.
Thank you.
Yes. What kind of benefits the federal government mandates that this grant achieve. And I want to say, everyone, this is a competitive grant. It's not one of those grants where you could just make something up and it's just going to fly. There'll be other people. You got to provide data, projections, and there'll be other organizations that are also competing for this money. And so we've got to come as close to possible as putting together a program that's going to actually yield these benefits if we have a chance of receiving them. So they're listed there. I don't know if one of y'all want to take us through the list, because I think I'm in class right now. Go on, Teresa, walk us through it, please.
Okay, I'm going to do my best. And all right, in terms of household savings, I think we'll be striving to give each household a savings of at least 20% on their energy bills, and that's minimally. So, we know utility bills are already expensive, but through solar energy, we definitely anticipate that your expenses will go down because solar energy is more efficient. You're going to get better results using it, and thereby lowering your utility bill. So that's just obviously a major benefit of itself.
Let me ask you a question, Teresa. I know a lot of people are saying, well, I'm a renter, or I don't even receive, a utility bill. My utility is wrapped into my monthly rent program, rental costs. Will this program benefit folks who find themselves in that position?
Yes, it still can. I think they can do it as a group. I mean, many apartments, some have HOAs, different, organizations that run the apartment building or complex, and they can, as a group, file for the benefit, from my understanding. So they still can benefit, definitely.
Yes. So an advantage of this program, the 20% reduction in household energy costs must be extended not only to homeowners, but to renters as well. You have to be able to show it. If you can't show it, you're not going to be scored as highly in those areas, and so less likely to get the grant. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay. And then equitable access to solar. I mean, equity simply means we want to make sure everybody has fair access. The disadvantaged community naturally does not have access to solar energy like the rest of the Yonkers community. They are not able to afford it for all the, things we talked about previously. They just don't have the income, the resources to seek it. So we want to make it more easier for them to access it. And that's what equity means, just making it more fair for them having an opportunity to actually have solar energy sources that are affordable.
In addition, to just jump in there real quick, Teresa, in addition to not being able to afford it, you're talking about communities where people live on top of each other. So traditionally speaking, we look to solar paneling to go on top of an individual's home, whereas in disadvantaged communities, there are 3-story, 5-story walk-ups. There are skyscraper municipal housing. Just by the virtue of where they live, it's not even a matter of affording it. In some cases, it's just the virtue of where they live just puts them at a disadvantage, to no fault of theirs, to no fault of anyone's. It just so happens that you don't own the building, and 80 families live in this building, 15 families live in this building, 10 families live in this building. That's something that, the renters just don't have access to.
Right.
The industry doesn't afford them the access because of, but that's the benefit of this particular movement, is so that now, with the introduction of the farms, the community-based solar sources, and the concessions by way of abatements for the new buildings that are being put up, it would only make sense for them to participate in this program for their benefit and for the benefit of the renters as well.
I like.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off of what you were saying, Teresa.
Well, I'm just jumping down to community ownership that you kind of, I think you kind of went into that. We definitely want to make sure, again, not just a single homeowners have access to this, to this benefit. We want communities as well. And that's, I think, like Carol said, apartment buildings or areas that are not easily accessible. Sometimes through the community effort, they're able to be, assessed better. Like, may have a landlord, what have you, whatever the conditions are, you have that ability to still have access to this program, through others. But again, it has to be a joint effort, but it can be achieved easily, if once everybody gets on board. Also, the resilience benefit, this is something we haven't focused on as much, but from what I understand, it's just improving the power of the grid source in case there's a power outage. So you're going to have a better grid, a better, backup system, because this is newer technology. So if for some reason there's a power outage, most likely they're going to be able to restore your power a lot easier. So that's a benefit that I had not really focused on as much. And then one of the other obvious ones that our community needs so bad beyond the solar energy is the workforce development and entrepreneurship. And, the groups you see present today are going to be a big part of that. We are going to definitely assist with the workforce development and entrepreneurship. We want to make sure that we take those people from our communities that have not been successful, had limited opportunities, or just went down the wrong path for whatever reason. But we want to pull them back because we know some of these individuals are highly capable. They just need the support systems to help them get on the path. And we're also going to provide them with viable, job training through the union. And that's why the union is partnering with us. You're going to make sure we, give them careers that, that'll be sustainable, where they can make a good income, a good living, and help rebuild our community. So again, that is a big other benefit outside of the obvious benefits of having the solar energy source, which is just a better utility source, just for our economy where we're going. And we want to make our planet greener. It's just better for our economy overall, not just Yonkers, of course. But again, remember, I just want everyone to keep in mind the benefit of this program and those 5 areas I just went over. The main thing is, remember, we're building our community through this effort. And that's what we have to make also our focal point. That is a big factor. We want to revitalize our young people, the people who don't have access, and just make them more productive and build the city of Yonkers as a whole and just make it better than it already is.
So thank you, Teresa. So everyone, listen, we wanted you guys to appreciate the actual benefits that could come with the widespread adoption of solar energy. Those are individual benefits as well as community benefits, and including community resiliency. We can anticipate there will be an increase in rolling blackouts as we undertake the clean energy transition because a number of plants are being taken offline, most notably the shutting down of Indian River Nuclear Power Plant further up the Hudson, which was a significant source of energy for our community. So we must find a way to transition over if we don't want to be in the blackout of not of 1977, but of 2027. It was a little, people were a little slightly unnerved. So, one of our regular list viewers, Lane Cobb, a great community organizer, activist in her own right, asked the question that's on the minds of many: what are we asking people to do in terms of action? You can't purchase any of these programs until we've actually secured the grant. So what do we need to do in order to secure the grant? We need to be well organized, and we put together a page dedicated to it. And on our page, everyone, we have listed the 3 key actions that you can take. Firstly, I don't know if I can see them. Okay, there they go. So, firstly, everyone, in order to demonstrate to grant reviewers that we have genuine community support, we need to compile letters of support. These letters of support, and if you click this letter, this link, everyone, it'll take you to describe the letters of support a bit more. We will have a template available for people to download, but I do want you to note, if you read through the page. Okay, yes, thank you, Lane. I will do that in a moment. It was a little more complicated because no one could go straight there. That was so. No, I guess you can. If you go there, you take a further look, and you can see what those letters of support entail. In addition, I'm sorry, everyone. In addition to letters of support, we'd also like you to sign our contact list. Here, I believe this is the link for our contact list. And so,
yeah, I was gonna say, can you post the QR code?
Yeah.
Yes, I can do that, but not at the. I could do it, but I'm just trying to. I'm having difficulty multitasking. So, you can. I will post it in a minute, everyone. So you can sign our contact form, and then in addition, finally, you could just think. Please consider becoming a Yonkers Solar for All Initiative Coalition member. Many hands makes light work. This is a tremendous challenge. And one of the reasons why, too much shit in the Black community fails. Too many civic projects fail because of us. Because we have too few hands. We need y'all. This is not going to work. We need movements. We don't need individuals. We need movements. I know Tasha's laughing.
We're all laughing.
Crazy Eddie impression. Y'all remember the commercial? Crazy Eddie. It's insane. The lack of participation from Black and brown communities is, I'm upset. It's insane. It is insane that everyone, so many people around us, refuse. The letters are not to be signed. Lane, if you read through the page, you will see the letters are not to be signed by individuals unless they are affiliated with powerful institutions, represent large groups of people. They should be signed by legislators, heads of CBOs, schools. Individual letters are not going to be sufficient. And that is why we need more people. And we need people who actually have the patience and discipline to read and process large volumes of information that cannot be conveyed to you in 10 seconds.
Dr. Bob, can I add on to what you're saying? Well, I don't know how much time we have, but one of the
things have as much time as we want, Tasha.
Okay, great. One of the things that we could
Asia gives us. he'll give us that.
All righty, thank you. One of the things we can organize around are community organizers like Reverend Cobb to help us get letters of support from our elected officials, schools, like you said, Dr. Bob, you know, large entities that on the application say we support this work. I'm thinking, you know, there's professionals in the health in the healthcare fields that know that disadvantaged communities have negative health outcomes because of environmental factors that might support what we're doing in Yonkers and things like that. So definitely the unions, schools, research centers, policy centers, health centers that know that we're enriching the community health wise. That resiliency piece is really, really important because when we have blackouts and brownouts in high crime, high unemployment areas, there's more of a prevalence for crime. And then if there's more crime, there's more police crackdowns. So that resiliency piece, again, is another, you can make everything a social justice issue, really, when you're talking about disadvantaged communities. So I know, you know, Reverend Cobb is, you know, in the social justice world. So all you social justice warriors, first of all, we're looking at unprecedented funding. That alone is a reason to really support it. But it's targeting disadvantaged communities. It's going to create jobs. The savings that people are going to realize from going from gas heat or whatever, however they're heating and however they're powering themselves to solar, there's going to be savings in that equation. Those savings can then be reinvested into the disadvantaged community in terms of, I don't know if it's tax abatement, but definitely community programs. So there's so many different ways that people could get involved with letters of support, and we could use the helping hands. We need about 50 to 100 letters of support.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, 100 letters.
You like that, Judge? Yeah. So you know, if our community partners could commit to getting 5 letters of support, we can guide them into that. And like you said, many hands make light work.
And did the honorable judge just pop on?
I can't tell. I don't know.
I can see her. She's doing this.
That's the support. That's the support we need. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, look,
Oh,
we could have some yes, peace, sister. We could have you know, we can have the average person, but we need the support of the
Right.
ones who carry the weight for us.
That's right.
right. So we need this type of support.
So Lane, yeah, go ahead, Dr. Bob.
No, you go ahead, please, Tasha.
No, I was just saying that it can be outside of Yonkers, but it has to be an entity that touches Yonkers. So I'm thinking of like Westchester Community College, you know, an entity like that. So, you know, a municipal, right? A municipal.
Yeah, the schools, EOC. Yes,
Right.
WCC, EOC. Yeah.
Westchester Medical Center. What are the hospitals?
Sarah Lawrence.
Sarah Lawrence, right?
Yeah, St. John's and
Yes. And larger organizations like the I'm thinking like I don't know, the Guardians. I'm just thinking like larger organizations that touch Yonkers, that are outside of Yonkers, but also within Yonkers. Yeah.
we also need to begin to welcome and reach out to our Latino brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Because you know, this cannot take place without that inclusion. It cannot take place without that inclusion. And under, you know, falling under the umbrella of a DAC, that rainbow coalition
Absolutely.
is a part of the DACs. So we just want to make sure that they're included in this initial process, that they're included in the decision making, they're including in the policy making, they're including in
Yes.
the ground level movement.
I like that. I like that.
No, I don't like it. I'm going to say the following. I want to piggyback on what Harold just said.
Yeah.
The city of Yonkers, Latinos make up 40% of the 41% of the population. They are represented in equal numbers in the disadvantaged communities in the Southwest Corridor. Harold and I have reached out to prominent representatives of the Latino community, and we got very lukewarm response. And I'm not, these are people who love us personally, and we're good. It wasn't like a lack of love, but the lack of appreciation of the what this opportunity represents.
Right.
Everyone, I gotta say, because I want to, I was saying before about the audience in relationship to Black Westchester, but that is a criticism that I have to say with everything that I see going on. There's too many people who just sit back and complacent.
Yeah.
We need, the word went out 2 months ago. A lot of prominent activists in Westchester County heard about this. And y'all are not here.
Yeah.
We are busting our behinds. We're already overwhelmed. Anyone would tell you, those of y'all who know me, I just talk about me. I work like a dog. It's 24 hours a day. Whatever anyone says, you didn't see me, that's because I was working and doing the work that you didn't want to do. Same thing with this. It's never ending work. We need people to reach out to us. We need you guys to take initiative too. Yes, I see. And I wonder why Hector doesn't know about this. I am wondering, because I know AJ Woodson knows about it. I know, and I know Lorraine Lopez knows about it. And I feel ashamed, to be honest. I know it's equity. We got to be sitting there scratching our heads. How the hell are we putting together a coalition that represents disadvantaged communities in Yonkers, and there are no Latinos around the table? And I've spoken to several prominent Latinos who 2 months ago, y'all, listen, all of my, go ahead, Howard, we can't hear you.
The referrals that are coming across the screen, if anybody can just let them know that this is taking place, and they need to be proactively involved in this movement. You have to, we have to, I'm thinking maybe a preliminary crash course on It's Okay, because we there are a lot of brothers and sisters who really don't trust. It's not a matter of cynicism per se, as much as it is, and they're not doing nothing for us. They're not doing nothing for us. It's a scam. I've had people say it's a scam. All they doing is going this. Now, listen, it's not based on anything other than movements that have happened in the past and how Black people have been, how disadvantaged, how people who are living in disadvantaged communities have always just been overlooked.
Yeah.
Maybe some crumbs fell off the table and they were able to scrounge around and get them. But people really don't believe, they don't believe this. Despite you sitting at the head of the table, Doc, people really don't believe that this is something that's going to benefit us. So we might need a empathy course. We might need a course that just kind of really can enlighten people and let them know, hey man, it's okay.
Yes.
It's okay.
You can't deny that. You can't deny that there's like a group think going on,
Mm-hmm.
and in organizing, just accept that you got to work with people. People are disengaged. You got to work with them. I think EYL calls it edutainment. You got to do a little.
Yes, the QR code is up. Anyone interested in participating, please fill out the information. Give us your information. We will keep you in the loop. You will have access to everything that we're doing. One of our stances is transparency. It is important that we keep everybody abreast of everything that's taking place. That's another way on how we're going to be victorious in this move, is the fact that we are coming to you with this. So we want you. So we don't have any tricks up our sleeve. This is really real. And it's going to happen with or without us, you, them.
And I just want to add, I don't know if all, but I know several of us are, we were born and raised in Yonkers. So we're from this community. We lived in these areas we're referring to. I grew up on Locust Hill. So, I'm not there now. I'm still in Yonkers, but still it's our community. So we're not just saying buy this and we're going, to, I don't know, Long Island. We're within the community or a neighboring community that has similar circumstances. So, we are you. We want your help because we have to do it together. And again, none of us have always trusted the system because it hasn't always, been fair. The obvious reasons that we all know, but we have to make it fair. We have an opportunity to level the playing ground. That's why this opportunity is so important, because it's an equitable grant. There must be equity, and there's a stressor. And Tasha Young, who's the president of the Good Policy Institute, this is what she does. This is part of her practice in the organization. So, very familiar with it. And we all are those type of individuals. That's why we're in these group Rise Up. We're here for our people. We want to help our communities. That is our focus beyond the solar energy. So again, we have a different components who make up this coalition, different people of the different expertise. But as we're known, we are social scientists beyond our careers that we also possess. And we are striving to help our community who represent us. So think of it that way. We're not just talking, and we're just as suspicious as you in some instances, and we've been, let down too, but we're still taking initiative and saying, hey, who's going to make it happen if we don't make it happen? We can't rely on others. We must rely on ourselves. So just keep this in mind. And again, this is a good opportunity. I mean, take the time, go on our website, look at what we put up there. Dr. Baskerville has done an amazing job of creating an extensive website, and we're expanding day to day. There's so much information on there. You can't help but become intrigued if you start to read it and see how good this effort is. So please say that again, Harold.
I was saying you must be a member.
Oh yes, become a member. Join the website. Just join the website and get on there. And again, you have access to so much information from just going on there alone.
Yeah, I do want to add that, this is a discussion I've had with AJ and others. My hope is that, look, this particular project, what Rise Up is doing specifically to try to promote and facilitate, you get to work hard. You facilitate like a new model of organizing that in which activists begin to take advantage of the tools of the information revolution to work more efficiently. Mm-hmm. My observation as someone who I've been a lifelong activist, my observation is that activists are generally very inefficient people. And of course I include myself there. It's the basis of my experience. I'm talking about me and the circles generally that I run in. And a lot of times we're working at a snail's pace. we have very few of the tools that our more powerful adversaries are able to employ as they, in the quest for political power, economic development, cultural influence. They have access to the best, of assets. We don't. And as a result, we're often organizing on a 20th century model. Paper, communications, but we no longer have to rely on that. What we need to do, everyone, is to take advantage of the tools of the information age so that we can create powerful mobile networks that are able to form and reform based on the task at hand. And here we have, everyone, Rise Up and its partner members have created a virtual workspace, a virtual office that allows us to effectively coordinate and plan our activities in our respective homes. It no longer requires that we meet face to face. Just like we could talk to audiences using platforms, so too can we work together using platforms. And we are very powerful, y'all. We just gotta
Use it.
gotta do it. Like, we're leaving our power remains in potential. It's only a potential capacity. We gotta act. We have to act. This is the time to act. And so this platform that we've been trying to develop around the Solar for All program and others, because there are going to be others. There's going to be a call to get
That's right.
Your heating systems. It's going to heat pumps. They're going to say the same thing in 2 years. Heat pumps.
Yeah.
Everyone go to heat pumps.
That's right.
Everyone go to heat pumps, and there's going to be a bazillion dollars. And you want me to tell you what? If we don't have a new generation of heat pump technicians that have good
That's right.
blue collar, middle class jobs that they can retire on, that many of us here will envy, it'll be our fault, y'all.
That's right.
It's gonna be our fault. So we want y'all to just take a look, because we're starting to develop some of these tools, and it's only if we have you guys joining in with us so we can experiment. It's a group experiment. We need people to participate. If you join, we may, based on your skill, assign you to one of the work groups that we have. Includes technical analysis. Maybe you do, data design, or maybe you do workforce development. I know there are a lot of people who are educators by background in our audience. You can lend your experience in curricular design and some of the studies that you've been doing about the transition in the workforce to help us figure out the best ways to deliver skills that people from disadvantaged communities need. Maybe you're good at outreach and marketing. You have those social networks. You do, I don't do websites. I happen to have figured out how to put this little thing together, but there are others who have, are far more proficient than I. So we're looking for people to join our platform, to become members, but also in anticipation that this is a dry run. We're getting practice, y'all. We are so unpracticed in the art of politics. It's like this is how we approach politics, y'all. Let's use the NFL, the current football industry in the United States, as an example, right? A professional team, they have an organization that has assets that are devoted. They have staff. They go out and practice. There's this amount of resources. What we do, we're like the pickup team that we used to play with after school. Bunch of people outside, and we're like, let's play football. And we want to win against a team. We just start right there. It's like, nah, we can do it. Just you do this, I do that. Don't worry. We're gonna mark the next revolution. That is not gonna happen. We need practice, everyone. We need to get away from this model of organized activism where we show up for one-time events. So AJ's return obviously says, Bob, hang your mouth enough.
No, I'd like to add something real quick to this very important conversation. And all of these developments and all things that we've gone through, the group of people that have this knowledge hold on to this stuff, and it doesn't trickle down to our community. That's because they thrive on us just being the consumers, not the developers and the producers of this stuff. They don't want us to have this information. That's why it is important what this group of people here are doing to give you this information to help this trickle down to our community, because usually this does not happen. These things take place, and like Bob said, then they tell us what it costs, and it's some astronomical price, and we have to buy this thing to keep going. But they thrive and they survive on us just being the consumers, and that's all the way around. And it's very important for our community to grow and for us to go to the next place. We have to get into the development phase. We have to be the producers. We have to be the people in all of this. And I just wanted to add that, to this conversation, to put things into. We had a show on AI. We was talking about the same thing. We need people that look like us to get involved in the process now, because it's going to get to a point, and we're going to all need this service, whatever it's going to be, and we're not involved. We're just the consumers. Those people will continue to get rich and continue to survive on us just being the consumers. And we eventually have to break out of that and become the producers and the developers. You know what I'm saying? For us as a people to grow, and for anything else that we are talking about to take place, we have to change that mind state. That's all I wanted to say in the conversation.
Right. And on that note, I want everyone to be clear. We are the catalyst for this idea. We took the initiative to begin to reach out to other people. So it's coming from the people who you're viewing. No one came to us. We went to them and told them, this is something that we want you to do in partnership with us. And in doing so, we're on the ground floor, everyone. We're around the table with our other partners, men and women of good faith from across different racial, ethnic, religious communities who are trying to figure out how to solve our joint problems. But please, this is a chance for us to craft what we need. So we want y'all to know, we're here to make sure it's a program that works for us. And we want other people to help us. And because in the end, when we go out to try to share the program, we want people to know this is not something that white people designed who are looking to exploit us, and they found a bunch of black and brown people to do their bidding for them. Because that's too often what we're saying when it's everything we do. Oh, some white person is paying you to carry out some nefarious plot against us. We can't trust you. That's not what's going on here, y'all. And we need y'all to be a part of the movement of creators. That's all. Also
that group of people that are in control of things, that are always in control of things, they're hoping that this effort fails. They have no faith because they know that we do not come together. We do not step up in these times. So they're watching and waiting and laying and praying for our downfall, for us to fail again, so we can continue being the consumers. They have no faith in this movement. That's why we have to put our faith and our help and our whatever we can do into this movement that you see here going on, taking place. Or we suffer the consequences and we consider them being the consumers, and these other people, you see them, they're billionaires and they don't pay taxes and all of this other stuff. And their survival depends on you being the consumer, the uninformed consumer. Last words, everybody. One more time, what can people do to find out more about this? What can they do to get involved in this? I understand that this is the topic that you can't really share all the information in 2 hours. So some people might, and they're going to watch this video later, and they still might not understand what it is we're talking about. You understand what I'm saying? Like they might not totally grasp the aspect. So, any last words that, in that vein.
So it's a program to convert disadvantaged communities to solar energy. It will have a lot of related benefits. If you want to find out more information, you can fill out the go to the membership form that we shared, and you can fill that out. And actually, everyone, you'll forgive me. I actually do think that you could simply just visit our site. I'm hoping so. So I did include the web address in there. You may be able to go to it.
And can you put the QR code back on the screen so we can, towards the end, we can end with that, and everybody can click on that if they and just go.
Give me 1 minute. I'll pull it back up.
Mr. McCoy.
Yes, sir.
Last words.
It's all right, y'all. It's okay. You got some good people at the helm, and you got good enough people to define and to decide who to align with. And everybody, the naysayers and the doubters, and fact of the matter is that the legislation is real. The grant has visions, and it defines how it's supposed to be and what's supposed to come out of it and the purpose. And there's going to be a time where you should have been a part of this, because this is going to happen with or without us.
That's the most important part right there. It's going to happen.
Yeah, it needs to happen.
Like everything else that has happened, it's going to happen. So do you want to be involved in it happening, or on the back end as continue being a consumer?
You want to be courtside or in the game?
Tasha Young. Oh, any last words, Miss Young?
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I want to shout out my dad. Today's second year anniversary of my dad's death. So I just
went through that too.
Peace be upon him.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to acknowledge him. I want to acknowledge the elder Pearl Quarles. We lost a giant in the Westchester Black Women Political Caucus, and our one of our queen mothers, Pearl Quarles,
and Westchester community altogether.
Oh my gosh, yes. And so this is a 5-year project. We're looking to reduce, climate, mitigate the climate change by 2030. So this award would be a 5-year award, and as Harold said earlier, and I think Dr. Bob said earlier, thank you so much, Judge. Thank you. And like what everybody said earlier, this is the beginning of billions of dollars that are coming through Westchester County. So this award will start the 5-year process through Solar for All, but within that 5 years, there's going to be other opportunities for wind, maybe tidal energy, because we have the river, a lot of different environmental and infrastructure monies are coming in. So what am I saying? I am agreeing you got to be in it to win it. And the legislation is written for people that are not usually at the decision-making table to create and make decisions for how they want this spent in their community. I'll just leave everybody with that. Do with that what you will. But you don't want to be that person saying, I wish I would have.
Miss Douglas.
I'll just add, I think you guys have pretty much covered everything, but Also keep in mind, again, there's a governing process throughout this. And the federal government also looks at us throughout the 5-year process to make sure we're meeting the goals. We have, consumers have to, save on the utility bills. We can't just, say some are. We have to have actual facts to prove that. And remember, our environment is changing. We must go solar, in order to survive in this, the society and make things better for ourselves and more cost efficient. So why not be a part of it and also improve our community at the same time? And again, you see the people before you. We are vested in this effort, and we're very skilled, intelligent people. We're going to put forth the effort to make sure this goes through to fruition. So join us in this effort, and again, let's get to the promised land together. Teamwork makes the dream work. That was what one of my schools, that was a motto, and it does. You can't do it alone. So everyone, please pitch in and help us in this effort, because we're definitely there to the end. So thank you for having us. Of course, AJ, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. First, Tasha, while a lot of people say, "Oh, I know how you feel," 5 days ago, September 12th, was the second anniversary of my father passing. So, I actually know how you feel.
Peace be upon you, brother.
Real talk. So
blessings.
So I wanted to say that. Secondly, I just want to, listen, we have to get our shit together. There's a lot of things that's in our community that are self-inflicted, and we're blaming a lot of other people. And we need to get involved. And we need to jump in these opportunities because there's legislation now, but I think Bob put it in perspective. There's a group of people, these MAGA right-wing individuals, who want to take all rights away. We get this individual that we had back in the White House. This goes away. Trust me, this goes away.
Oh, yeah.
Legislation or no legislation, this goes away. And if we get more of his acolytes in Congress and in the House, this goes away.
That's right.
You understand what I'm saying? So this is a rare opportunity that we're being considered. Oh, and also, just think about it this way too. So we're being considered now, and we don't step up, and we don't meet. The next time, like, why consider them? They don't do nothing. Like, they don't. What's the purpose of considering them? So not just for this, to be considered for other things in the future. You understand what I'm saying? We need to jump involved. I know this is not maybe a sexy topic where everybody really want to hear about this, but the video is live. I mean, will be on YouTube on the Black Westchester YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I ask everybody who's watching and who will watch, share the link to this to other people in your community. Mm-hmm. Yes, they're addressing Yonkers now, and I don't want people to say, "Oh, that's just a Yonkers thing." You understand what I'm saying? We need to. All our communities need to be getting involved and need to be thinking on this line. So share this with everybody that you know. We're at our 9-year anniversary a couple of weeks ago of giving you the real talk with the community. You know what I'm saying? When you go to YouTube, do me a favor, click the subscribe button below so that you can always be informed about conversation like this. Like it, share it with others. That's how we do this. You know what I'm saying? That's how we continue to do this. And I can continue to give a forum to our people to have these conversations and get them out there. As we said in the beginning, y'all gonna look around one day and we're gonna be gone. Yeah. Again, that's for a lack of support. The problem in our community is we don't support our own, period. And we're scared when it's faces like us doing this and giving you the information. Sometimes I have to when I do a story, I got to put the court document in. I got to put the site where I got the information, and I actually got to put a video of the person saying that. And some people still don't believe that it's true, that I just made this up and I'm just trying to attack somebody because we're Black media. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? We are our own worst enemy, and a lot of our situations are self-inflicted. and we have to begin to work together. That is what they're scared of. Let me just be honest. You look at black people. Let's just take black people, African descendants of slavery. You were taken from your country. You were stolen from your land. They took away your language, your heritage, and everything. Slavery ends. They have all these other things, and then we get Jim Crow. And we got civil rights. All these other things. All the things that they have thrown at us all these years. Do you know that we are still their biggest threat? Their biggest threat is us working together. And the fact is, we don't know it, but they know it. And every time we learn something, they change the rules and the laws on us. So if we don't take advantage of this, there may not be nothing to take advantage of next time. And that's just real talk. You know what I mean? All we can do, and the people on this on channel right now, all they can do, you can lead a horse to water. We can't make a horse drink. You understand? Go ahead, Bob.
I want to add something because Tasha said this before. It is legislators, black Latino legislators that helped to develop this legislation. Congressman Jamal Bowman is a good example of someone who had a heavy hand in shaping the legislation. But I also want to note, everyone, that it is from within our own communities that some of the vision of the larger policies that have governed this type of legislation came from. For example, Raya Salter, who's been on the show a few times, was at the table. One of the few persons of color, from what I understand, at the table when the Justice 40 initiative and all those things were being worked out. And if we don't take advantage of this, everyone, then the effort that she made on our behalf, that Congressman Bowman made for us, will go unwasted. It's like people are working for us and we just squander it. It's like, oh, we don't give a damn. Oh, screw that. I'm going to worry about something else. Or your motherfucker who was at the damn concert last night. Y'all need to get and do something else. There's something else to do besides being entertained.
Tell them how you really feel, Bob. No.
Because listen, AJ, because we see it. Listen, how much? Because I'm there. I've been here for 25, 30 years. It took over buildings in 1992. No one participated. We were out there rallying against Giuliani police. Relatively no one participated.
Do you remember the movie I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker?
Yes.
And they go into the black.
So where's all the brothers? Where's all the brothers? They all got government jobs.
Yeah. He said, where's all the brothers? The Black Liberation Movement was one time 1,000 strong. He said, man, we went to go take over the state office building. Brothers went in with guns and came out with jobs. And you know, that's one of the tactics. That's one of the tactics that they use because they're good jobs and they have benefits and there's stuff that we could use in our community, but they also are means to silence us. To silence those, they went in with guns and came out with jobs. You know what I mean? And that's how they silence us. So that you know, I guess that on an individual situation can be debatable because I don't know. I mean, it's like make a whole bunch of noise and don't feed your family,
right?
Or feed your family and be quiet.
Right.
So it's a tough situation to be in. And, you know, that's just kind of like life. You know, you can go get a job and get yourself some security, or you can go out there and eat what you kill and make a fortune if it works.
I'm living that specifically. I could be doing a lot of other things to make a lot of money, but I chose to do this for our community, and it's a labor of love that gets very little support. That's a thankless job. So I'm actually living that.
Yeah.
I'm living of that. And let me just tell you, you know, There's lots of times, keep it real. I don't know how the paper's coming out next month. I don't know how the rent's paid next month. Yo, it do by the grace of God and, you know, the work I'm doing, and it happens, and supporters and people make donations, and the link for the donation is on the banner. Just throwing that out there. But you know, that's how we've gotten by, and we continue to do the work. And yo, I've had that sometimes where I could do something else to make money and really take care of myself, or I can do this and provide this platform like this that doesn't really exist to allow us unapologetically to have these conversations.
Especially on the
You know
grassroots
what I'm
level.
saying? You know, so and you know, yes, Sister Nichelle, it is a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice. It's a labor of love. You know, these individuals that's on the screen today, they're doing this. They could be doing something else right now to benefit their bank account and their family. You know what I'm saying? Instead of looking out for everybody else. I mean, there's a lot of work to do this. You understand what I'm saying? It's really a lot of work to do this. So,
but like you said, though, you know, it's you know, it's just through the power and energy of the Most High. You know, the inshallah is the, you know, it's a force that it's a force that only comes as a result of the good nature as to why you are able to continue to do what you do, and us as well.
My first book was called Black Westchester: The Origin Story, and how my faith was instrumental in this great experiment that we call Black Westchester. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, real talk. Like, that's I walk on ridiculous faith, like real talk. So, you know, and I live by that. I feel like if I do enough good, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to be taken care of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And helping people who can never take out an ad or do anything to benefit me or do anything for me, but are in desperate need though, because they have nowhere else to go. Yeah. I mean, that's what I signed up for. Don't get me wrong, real talk. You know what I'm saying? This is not, it's not a pity party or nothing. I signed up for this. I chose this. I chose this walk.
There's a bank, and I call it cosmic currency. For good deeds, for your righteousness. Cosmic currency.
Appreciate that. So yeah, I hope everybody. We're gonna come to a close, but I hope everybody. Oh, I forgot to say goodbye to Tasha. She left. Bye to our sister Tasha. Yeah, but I hope everybody. Seriously, the videos on YouTube. Everybody on here. Everybody who's part of this. The Black Westchester YouTube channel. Share this on your page. Share this with everybody you know in your community. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Make sure you share this so that other people can see this conversation. You know what I'm saying? And then they can share it. And again, hit the subscribe button below on YouTube for y'all on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Click like, you know what I'm saying? And share this.
Yes,
with that said, you've been tuned into another episode of Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show. We are on every Sunday, 6 to 8, streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. This has been episode 380.
Wow.
Solar for all.
Nice.
Thank you, AJ.
Yes, thank you again for hosting us.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Dr. Bob.
Yeah, I hope everybody really takes advantage of this information. Like, don't let this opportunity, don't squander this opportunity, because again, there are people who fought for this. There are people who fought, and you're gonna make their life harder next time they go to fight for something. They're like, yo, we try to give you that, and y'all and take advantage of that. You know what I'm saying? So, yo, Obama said, be the change that you want. You have to move. Nobody has ever given us, and these are my last words, no one has ever given us anything in this country because it was the right thing to do. It's because we went out for it, we fought for it, we worked for it, and that's all I have to say. So with that, I bid everybody adieu, and everybody have a blessed week. Tasha mentioned Pearl Qualls. She is the cover of the next issue. It'll come out somewhere around the 25th. You have one more week to advertise if you want to. Hit us at blackwestchester@gmail.com. We are celebrating the life and legacy of Pearl Qualls. And also, I'm sorry, a sister who hosted the show, Bob knows her, Nikki High. She just passed of cancer. She's a very healthy sister. She was a wellness coach. She wasn't feeling good. She went and then found out she had cancer, and it went straight stage 4, and she's no longer with us. So we're going to do the back cover tribute to her. The front cover is going to be Pearl Qualls. The back cover is going to be Nikki High, our sister that's been with us on the show. She's been with Damon with his wellness events that he had. The Conversation of Men, which Bob took place in, she was the moderator. So just want to offer my condolences to her family and friends. And with that, we out. Peace.
Peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.